It's the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast, your source for anything and everything indie horror. Here's your host, Otis B. Dreads. All right, it is 8 o'clock. Do you know where your indie horror is? I can tell you. It's right here, the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast. That's right. I am Otis B. Dreads, and of course, the awesome co-host, Rotting Ricky D. Just got out of Facebook jail. It's funny. You don't have any horror stories by chance, do you? Before we get this show kicked off, no. I mean, no.
Other than going through that whole Facebook fiasco or whatever it is, no. But no, I'm good now.
That's good. Joe Ridgely is the first person to pop in, and a good evening to you, Joe.
Good evening, Joe.
We have we got a really good show tonight, and it's going to get kind of deep there for a minute, but it's always going to be lighthearted, and well, we're going to have some fun. Before we get into that, some formalities, if you will. Let's talk a little Indie Horror Junkie magazine, and we have issue 4, right? No,
issue number 4 hits the street on September 13th, and we've pretty much finalizing it now. Just typing up probably the last little article here, and a couple of ads are coming in as well, and then we'll have it go live on the website on September 13th. And we've got this issue is going to be the first time we actually have our centerfold is going to be the Indie Horror Hotties, not just a hottie. We're going to have multiple hotties. So
multiple.
That's always good.
Always good. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
No.
Honestly. And along with the Indie Horror Junkie magazine, you also offer, in case this is your first time tuning in, you also offer some advertisement deals. And this is what we have here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this? And you can, as you see on the graphic there, the email there, the Indie Horror Junkie at Gmail. And it's also scrolling across the bottom, but you're offering some ad space.
Basically, as we're growing with the magazine and the circulation is growing and the word is spreading, which it is like crazy. So it's a wonderful thing. We're getting people that are chiming in, hey, how can I advertise? Whether it be they want to advertise a movie or their company or their products or something like that. We want to try and open that up to that. So we've been receiving advertisements, and hey, Ricky, there you go. So so we're offering that now. There's my girl. There you go. Thank you. And we're getting advertisements in left and right. So it's like I said, as a matter of fact, this issue is actually going to be the first expanded issue. We're going to have an additional 4 pages on this issue, and we're growing more and more. I'm getting writers on board, and we're going to have a special edition coming up in October, because every month that has a Friday the 13th, we're going to put a special issue out there, our special edition Friday the 13th issue. So we'll have a special one there.
Of course.
Absolutely.
I mean, we wouldn't be indie or not. You wouldn't be a horror podcast if you didn't do something for Friday the 13th. That's just
absolutely, totally agree.
Just doesn't go very well. What are some of the articles that people can look forward to? Can you disclose some of that?
I can disclose a couple of them. One of them is going to be an article that we're doing with legendary Florida filmmaker William Griffey. We've got an article on him there. They Came from the Swamp is a big documentary that came out about him. He's a friend of mine and lives in Florida and is an outstanding filmmaker. He's got some great stories. We also have an article about a new horror band called Bullet to the Heart, which has some incredible music. We're using 1, if not 2 of their songs in our upcoming Yard Sale Massacre movie. So we've got an article on them as well. And then a couple other ones I don't really want to disclose, except, of course, our Indie Horror Hotties, which are the Sinister X Sisters. So we've got a great image of them in there and a whole article talking all about what they bring to the table. So that should be a fun little read.
Awesome. And right along with the Indie Horror Junkie, we also have the Florida Horror Con. And you guys have opened up applications and submissions for vendors. Is that right?
Well, we've opened up the application process. Really, it's an inquiry process. We aren't actually accepting payments or anything yet. We just want to find out who would like to be vendors there,
Yep.
who they are, what they intend to offer, so we can try and make sure that we do the vetting process and get the fans who they want, and and basically do a service to the vendors as well by not doubling up on multiple type people selling the same things. So
Sure.
we've opened up that inquiry process to start getting our ducks in a row, so to speak.
There you go. And here's another really cool graphic that I like. Save the date. Absolutely.
Yep.
Uh, Next year, big things happening next year. I want to, excuse me, before we get to our guest, she's been very patiently waiting in the green room, and I hope the snacks have been replenished if you helped yourself. We'll get to you soon, dear. I promise. But I wanted to mention that come Friday there is a indie project kicking off on Kickstarter. That would be the I don't know if I can get it in there. The Hell Virus Haunted Asylum of Horror. A good friend, Morgan Wellborn, directing this. It's kind of coming off of the Hellvira on the Run, which you can see, I believe, over on Cineverse. It's over there. You can check that out. Um, this is going to be a really fun project, and I guess I'm a little partial because I got my first little acting role in this. So you can help bring Dave the Stoner to life. Uh, Going over there, following. You can follow it now. You'll be notified when the campaign kicks off. And hey, if you can help out of your wallet, the next best thing you can do is share it far and wide. It may land on somebody that can really help out the project. And so September 1st, that would be this Friday. Go check that out over there. So let's get into this, shall we? I think we went through all of what we need to discuss to get started. Um, we have Krista Grotte Saxon, aka Krista G. Saxon. I said that right, Grotte?
Yes, you did.
Oh, awesome. She's an award-winning actress. You're not going to believe the things that I start naming off here of things that she's done, and that's what's going to make it a really good talk tonight. Award-winning actress, internationally published, the fitness model, executive producer, the principal owner of Technocentric is a software development and film production company. The feature film Nation's Fire from 2017. I'm not familiar with that one. I'm gonna have to go see if I can find that. Maybe she can let us know where we can see that. The breakout movie in which Krista was one of the executive producers, along with Robert Ory. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She's also earned the Best Actress through the Florida Motion Picture and Television Association's prestigious Crystal Reel Awards, as well as Best Actress through the Full Moon Horror Festival and her role in Emerging Past. And I'm not even all the way done yet. um, and she is becoming a well-known blogger. If all that wasn't enough, okay, we have a blogger, a YouTuber, and we're gonna get. I have the YouTube channel link for you here in just a second. She Blood Rogue and Pole Moves. That's the YouTube channel. She shares stories on everything horror, hard Hollywood, with special episodes on true crime, which is one of my soft spots. She incorporates her pole dance performances in her episode. Now we've seen, different, ladies doing like serial killer type podcasts and whatnot, and they do their makeup. Now this takes talent, I'm sure. So be sure to go over there and subscribe to the channel. And last but certainly not least, she was also one of the indie horror hotties. And I'm going to show you right there in the center.
There she goes.
There she is, right there in the
Issue
center.
number 2.
And we have Haley. You'll see there to the right of her. She's joined us. She's in the chat with us. So, and she was also in your latest film, Rick, The Clock,
That's right.
which I'm sure we're going to talk about, and also,
Oh, yeah.
also Necro Nancy, the Necro Nancy character in the Nightmare Collection DVD series. So, I don't know about you guys. I'm winded. So, without further ado, let us bring Krista on. Krista, how are you, dear?
Hey guys,
Look,
how are you?
We're doing great. When we first talked to you just a few minutes ago, the sun was out. Did we leave you back
I know.
there that long?
And now it's getting dark. Naming all the stuff that I do,
That's
I
what
sound like I got severe ADHD, but but it works. You know what I mean?
But do they take care of you in the green room okay? Everybody treats you good?
Very well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We pay them well, so I hope they take care of you.
Yes. Thank you.
So, I don't even know where to start with everything that is on your list of accomplishments. Let us start with acting. Was that, and this may sound like a redundant question, but was that, out of everything that you have, in your track record, was acting the first thing that got everything else started, that got the ball rolling?
Oh, 100%. So it's kind of funny because what was it, like 20 years ago, I met Andy Lolino and Rick Danford, and I was taking acting classes for fun at a place called Venue Theater in St. Pete. And one of our assignments was to find an audition and create a headshot and resume and apply. So I saw a casting call for a short film called Filthy, and they were looking for a girl to play an inbred transient named Pussy. And so I was like, I got this. And so I auditioned for that and got the part, and here we are. And that's where it all started, because then I met Rick on that set, and then we went to the Nightmare Collection from there. Filthy went on to win 23 awards around the festival circuit, and it did very well. And I actually went to a Chiller convention in Jersey, and we traveled around, promoted this movie, and all I remember is I had a line of people. I didn't think anybody saw it, because this was my first movie. I didn't know, you know what I mean? And I didn't realize what an underground following there was for independent horror, even back then, 20 years ago. So I was there with Andy, and there was a line of people saying my lines from Filthy, because I have these classic lines about Leonard being my brother. Yeah, it was amazing. I had one guy, I had to choke him out like 4 times during the thing. He just wanted to be choked by me so many times, and I was like, you know what? I gave him a good one the last time. And so it was a lot of fun, and that really began my love for acting in horror films. Horror films are my first love, especially being on set of horror. There's nothing like it. We have so much fun.
That's funny, because there's no way you can see my notes, but that was going to be, my next question. And that is, is that your preferred genre to act in? Would be
100%.
horror. What do you love so much about acting in horror versus, let's say, a drama or a comedy?
Oh, most definitely the sets, the effects, the makeup effects are amazing. The kills, the creepiness. Halloween is my favorite time of year. So, I absolutely love it. My kids were just little guys when I brought them out to the set of Filthy. And I remember Rocky, he had his stomach completely tore up, and he dropped some food in there on purpose. And he came out to the car. And he's like, hey, kids, you want a cookie? I was like, my son is like 5 years old, and he's going to be so traumatized. But you know what? He ended up loving horror too. So, it worked out.
I think
That's
another big
Pretty
thing
cool.
too about the draw for horror, indie horror, is like you mentioned at the beginning, the fans, the conventions, the
Yes.
film festivals and stuff. I mean, these people
Yes.
are diehards, and they'll come out from everywhere. And if they're learning the lines and standing in line for you for a short independent film, I mean, it just, you can't get that anywhere else.
And
right.
that's the best. I mean, that's the best part of it all. I mean, and we used to go to all these horror cons, here, Orlando, and of course all of our local ones here in Tampa. And of course it's the fans. The fans are the best in horror. I mean, the loyalty is unmatched. So
Absolutely.
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's before we get into any deeper topics, why don't you both, Rick and Krista, talk about the premiere that was just this past Sunday, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, we just had the
Yeah.
premiere, the world premiere. Hey, there's me and Krista, and
There
the
we go.
clock in the
Yay.
background.
Yeah.
We just had the premiere of the cast and crew premiere of our supernatural feature film called The Clock, and we're still doing some tweaking on it that we didn't get to do. We basically got a completed cut in time for the cast and crew because I wanted to make sure that everybody got to see the movie with friends and have that moment to be able to enjoy what they worked so hard of on screen, take pictures, do autographs. To me, that's the most important part for me. The part that I live for is just walking around that lobby and seeing everybody smiling and dressed up nice and taking pictures and stuff like that. It makes me feel like kind of a proud papa kind of thing. But
For
and
sure.
it's pretty close to done. We just have a couple tweaks. We had some, I think, some spelling issues in the credits and stuff, and we're enhancing some of the effects that we didn't get a chance to do before. And there's a couple of minor timing tweaks and stuff that we're doing, but we're going to have it all done next week. And we're even filming another scene that we're adding to kind of add some more exposition. We're filming
Oh,
it this coming weekend, and we'll have it all in place and everything finalized and complete before the 10th of next month, because then it goes off to Phantasm Orlando, where it'll be screening there on the 16th.
awesome. Awesome. What was your experience like, Krista, filming The Clock?
Oh
And
man.
you can be honest, just because Rick's sitting here. You
I'll
can
close
be
my ears if I have to.
Rick knows how honest I am. Sometimes I scare myself and I'm like, oh, shoot, did I say that? No. But The Clock was amazing. And honestly, I was blown away by the finished product at the screening because it was so good. And a movie's great when it goes by so fast. You're like, wait a minute, it's over. What the heck? So it was incredible. I was so proud to be a part of this. The acting was phenomenal. And the home that we shot it in was creepy because they've done previous stories on that being a haunted house. And that's what I love. So you could feel the energies. And she had all this incredible art and, those old paintings of people. Yeah. And, you're like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? You don't know.
So most of the background and the decor was already in place. You guys
Correct.
didn't have to spice it up much then.
Right. And then all the performances. This is what I love about working on a production. It's not so much just me performing. I love, delving into my character and getting that personal inventory and creating that whole person out of my character. But I love watching other people. And after you read the script so many times and you observe everybody play their role, you see so many different interpretations of that character, and seeing it come to life is, to me, I get teary-eyed myself. You know what I mean? It's like, right. And that's what I love about acting and being on set and performing. It's working with the other people.
Yeah, and like I've told many other people in the past, I mean, I've been a filmmaker for many years now, mainly just short films. This is only my second feature film since my very first film. But even to this day, every time I'm behind the camera watching people like Krista and everybody else recite lines that I thought up, that I wrote or whatever, I get chills. Even to this day, it's a magical experience.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah, and I got that lightweight when I did the little voiceover for Hellvira on the Run, and then I had a DVD in hand, and then even though my little 20 seconds of fame, but seeing my name, hearing my voice on a DVD was pretty surreal. So maybe on a lower scale, I can understand the what you're saying there. So, and you're right. I've noticed I've only been to a couple horror cons, but what I got, it reminds me a lot of like metal shows, and I say
Yeah.
specifically heavy metal shows. And the same camaraderie seems to be there. I feel safe at those shows playing angry, violent, sometimes music, but I feel
Yep.
safe there. And the horror cons are great. There is a camaraderie. Everyone is energy is focused in on the same thing.
Oh yeah,
I,
absolutely. It's just like the biker community. It's the same thing. So
sure.
it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it really that's what I'm really liking about the Florida Horror Con that you have coming up next year is I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of indie films front and center and having the spotlight shown. Well, I'm just making words up as we
Yeah,
go.
it's all good.
There you go. So yeah, and then that's gonna that's really gonna do a lot for a lot of these films that we have coming out.
Absolutely. But one of the things I want to touch on with you, Chris, especially, okay, which I know is a subject that's very close to your heart here, and we've discussed it at length and even had you do a panel at one of our other film festivals. But you, in the position that you are now, you've really gotten heavily into post-production as far as distribution. And you've had your share of being run through the ringers by some of these crooks that I don't want to, I want to put out there because it's
Absolutely.
true. And that's a big part of what's going on now with the SAG strike and stuff and what's happening here. So why don't you give us a little background on how you got there and the battle that you're waging right now and what your plan is?
So, with Nation's Fire, it was we executive produced, myself and Robert Ory and Jerry Roberts. We executive produced that film, and it turned out to be a $1.3 million budget production. And we went with SAG so that we could get names involved in that film, and that gave us more of a guarantee, or so we thought, for a distribution deal. And that's the direction that we were led in. And so we said, okay, we'll spend that additional funding. And what I've learned later is that is the absolute biggest mistake you can make in independent film, because there's the studio world and then there's the indie film world. And according to the studio world, indie film is designed to fail, according to them, okay? Because they have their own machine, right? And they do their own budgeting for the production, for marketing, and for distribution. They have all the connections to do that themselves. A lot of indie film makers will make a movie, spend so much money, and oftentimes when you make a movie, you need more money to complete the film, no matter what your budget is. And it just happens, and they do that. And then they go to get a distribution deal, and they find out that they're getting offered nothing. And because distributors look at it like, why should we pay you? We got people throwing their films at us like underwear in a freaking rock concert. You know what I mean? We got films being thrown at us. And why do you think that we're going to give you $1.3 million for this production? They don't care how great the story is. It doesn't matter. It's not a factor when it comes to distribution, because of course it's just another product on the machine, and that's it. They just want to send them out there, make all that they can on it, and pay as little as possible. So I learned that the hard way with making Nation's Fire, because we went and I went with a distributor, and it was the biggest mistake of my life. And I had thought that everything was great. We all did initially with this company, and I read the contracts. All was fine. There was estimates of what we would make internationally through each territory, and we had 60 plus territories that were on a list of a projected residual that we would gain for licensing it out to each territory. So say France, $200,000, Germany, $150,000. And this went on for 60 of them. So I said, you know what? This looks pretty good. Even if we get 2 out of 60 territories, I could be happy with that. Right. So it turned out that this distributor, the whole thing was a lie and a scam and bullshit. And with any independent film, the bulk of the money is made upon the release of the film. And that's because of all the talent that you had involved. We had a couple thousand people on the credits of Nation's Fire. So all those people are sharing it with their family and friends and so on. So you get a lot of rentals, a lot of shares, a lot of initial marketing for that. And then they take that, right? So now I asked the distributor, I want to see receipts on everything because I'm entitled to that, because I own this 100%. This is my product. And once I gone around and asked other filmmakers, they were in the same boat. Like, I don't know of anybody who's made, you see people in these pitch decks for what movie is that? The one main one that's in every pitch deck in America. But they, this is not the case with all these independent films, because the filmmakers don't see a dime. They don't see crap. And I don't know any who's made a ton of money off their production, and I don't know any who knows anybody that made a ton of money off their production, right? So then you got the whole SAG war, and I went SAG with this. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I still got SAG calling me wanting money, because they're so hard up for money, because they want to send out a penny check to everybody who was on the film to make it look like they're doing their part, when I'm like, well, the distributor hasn't paid out zero. Because once it came to the international factor, I would get she'd send me something to sign off on the France license deal, and instead of $200,000, it's $1,200. So and it would be bundled with 2 other productions. So this is the way that I've learned the hard way. And I figured we were using 2-time Oscar nominee Bruce Dern. We had Emmy Award winner Gil Bellows. We had Chuck Liddell. We had names. And the important thing that distributor looks for is a name is your name going to bring in the revenue that you pay them out? Okay, so everybody comes in saying, okay, you got this. What's the budget of your movie? What's the budget? And I can't stand that, because then they want a whole percentage of it. Well, what makes you think you're going to bring us back that 20% of our budget? You're not. Most of those actors are not. So, and that's just the way it is. There's so much content out there. There's and if you start a YouTube channel, and that's a part of the reason I started my YouTube channels, to learn the algorithm, because it works the same way for every other platform, whether it's Vudu, Hulu, Netflix, all these things, right? And certain ones like Netflix will do a straight up license deal, Amazon, all these things. But, you can do this independently. And that's a smart way to go. Lowest budget, do it independently, or there's 2 ways of distributing a movie. You either want to do a pre-sale with a distributor, say, I've done a lot of Lionsgate movies now. That's the deal we're working on for The Clock as well with Lionsgate. But these guys were smart enough, Rick and the executive producer, Antonio, were smart enough to know, do not put hundreds of thousands of dollars into this budget, because you will not get it back. And to me, it broke my heart to do this to anybody. I can't do that. I cannot live, with hurting people, you know what I'm saying, who believed in something, and then to know that this is the way it really works. So now that I know, I do have some, still have some great connections in the industry, and that's why. But I want to do people right. And that's why I talk straight up about it. Like, this is the way it works. Please understand that, we're making this project because we believe in it. We love it, but we're also going to be smart about it. And that's with SAG too. I got, millions. All the actors are like, we want more money. I'm an actor. I've been an actor for 20 years. Of course, we all want more money, but they think that they're going to get these huge residual checks off these productions, these shows, and all independent films, when the EPs aren't even getting paid for it. They're not making a dime. So where do you guys think it's going to come from? when SAG requires us to provide all these additional jobs. That's why the budget doubled. It started at 500,000. We have so many jobs that SAG requires you to have. You got to have babysitters for the kids. You got to have cockroach handlers for the cockroaches. You got to, and then pay them $1,000 a day. You got to do all these things. And then it's like, okay, the budget's getting eaten up, but we need production money too. We need to take care of our crew and our cast. So this is where all of this comes into play. And I try to educate actors too on understanding, as an executive producer standpoint, you invest money into a movie and you make it a SAG production and you tell me how that goes. It'll destroy your life because they come at you like the mob forever, and because they want to pay out.
In all fairness, if I was going to be a cockroach wrangler, I'd want at least $1,000 a day. I mean, that's just bottom line.
You can't step on them. You got to make sure nobody kills a roach.
No roaches were killed on this set today. Right. There you go.
Yeah. And I learned a lot about SAG. I mean, we had Teamsters. I was walking by one of our outdoor set locations and there's hands coming out of the bushes. And I'm like, is there a hand sticking out of the bush? Who's this begging for money? I had phone calls. I met so-and-so and I introduced so-and-so to this. I was like, who the F are you? You come meet me in person. You call me again. Let me tell you, because they would call wanting money from me for introducing somebody else to somebody else. And I'm like, this is how it gets when you have a budget on a production. It's like, it's unbelievable. So now that I've learned all of this, I feel very well versed. And I feel like this is kind of my calling on behind the scenes as well, in helping filmmakers. Whether, there's so many things that I want to do with that. And everything that I'm doing now is geared toward the film industry, my love for acting and performing. And even, that's why I do all that I do with my YouTube channels and everything like that. It's a learning process for me.
So since we have, real quick here, Otis, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
but since we do have a lot of independent filmmakers and stuff like that are listening in or going to be watching in, what would be your number one recommendations? What would you like to tell them before you start your next project? These are the things that you should be looking out for and the things that you should put in place.
Obviously, number one is to make it as low a budget as possible. Minimal locations. Don't go overboard with saying, of course, make it a story-driven movie. Not all about all these extra costs and all this crap. And that's what people want to see anyway. If you look at audiences, they're geared more toward independent films, because it's original and there's more originality instead of all this remake of bullcrap. And I understand the studio's doing that because they know what works. They know what works and they know they'll make money off of that, doing that. And of course, they have this huge marketing platform and funding. But with as far as, filmmakers, knowing what you have to work with and utilizing that to the best of your ability. And then, of course, you have your own, you can distribute on Amazon yourself. You can do all these things. And then putting aside a budget, I think your number one would be marketing. I don't feel we need big names in movies anymore. I mean, do you? I watch movies all the time and I don't care, who's in it. I just want it to be good and I want the performances. I don't want to be taken away from it by, somebody who sounds like they're reading, if that happens.
Well, that's one of the big things with the horror genre is you don't need big name actors and stuff. The horror genre is primarily, story driven, effects driven, stuff like that. So you can get away with having complete no names in a horror movie, whereas a drama or something along those lines, they usually ride on star power. So.
Correct. Right. And that's foolish to do on independent film anyway.
Right.
Because you're throwing that money away. Because you can't market it out to the whole world. How is anybody going to know if they don't know it exists, right? So marketing's half that battle right there, and that would be quite a hefty budget. So.
Yeah, well, you know what? What I was going to ask was actually the exact same question you just asked. That's why I giggled a little bit when you asked, because Mr. Nanner's in the chat. He, saying that this is really great advice. And what would you, obviously, other than the don't do it, if a filmmaker is hell bent on going with a distribution company, what would you advise them to do? Maybe they, don't want to deal with distributing it themselves, even though, like you said, Amazon, you can do that all yourself.
Right, right. So when you do find a distributor, there's only a few of them for independent film, and like one of them is Lionsgate, Cinetel. There's a few of them. So if you're gonna go with one of them, you most likely will know somebody who's got that connection first of all, because otherwise it's hard to get to them. I look
Sure.
scary right now. Anyways, on this, I'm sorry, but yeah. So I would advise, there's two business models when it comes to making and distributing independent film. And one of them is where when you do have a connection, say a agent, and you got a lot of people that will reach out to you when you make a production. Once you got it on IMDb, there's people that go on and they reach out to you, and you'll get a lot of contacts that way. But I recommend networking through these people. Going to American Film Market or something of that nature to pitch your project idea and learn all that you can from that. But also, a lot of filmmakers pre-sell to these distributors. So say if I got a story idea, I'm going to contact my sales agent, who's the middleman with this, so say Lionsgate, and I have a budget of say $20,000-$40,000, and I want to make this feature film, story driven feature film, because I'm going to be smart, knowing if I'm going to do 20 grand or 40, but I won't go much above 100 grand because you're likely to lose. But anyways, you can make a few films then. Say if you got 100 grand, put that aside, and then I can make 5 feature films with that. But you want to do a pre-sell, and they give you a minimum guarantee that they're going to give you a check upon, release of the movie, once you release the movie. But I know with Nation's Fire, we had to go through so much crap with like quality control and all this stuff, and it wasn't really even necessary. I had quality control, and these were just ways to pay more people. We had lawyers that we had to pay, never used them. $10,000 retainer, did all this. And so cut out all that bull crap. And we all learned from it. We all
Sure.
of us who were a team, and our director, writer, everybody, we all learned from this process, trying to go the Hollywood route. And for me, it was the greatest learning experience that I could have. I got 1.3 million reasons that y'all should listen to me. Okay. Because I counted every dollar, and I went after every moment with that distributor. And then I started to learn about other distributors. I attended AFM. I listened to everybody, studios speak. I spoke. And so now that I understand the business model, if you make a YouTube channel, people say, oh, well, I got the best movie ever. This is going to be so successful. How? If it's a needle in a haystack, who cares how good it is if nobody's going to see it? You got billions of videos just on YouTube getting uploaded every minute, hundreds of thousands, right? So how are you going to stand out above the rest? So, and that's the question. That's the $1 million question. So, of course, pre-sell, if you can get into that, it takes a lot. You got to put in just as much work networking and building relationships as you do of writing, directing, and producing. So you got to wear both hats, that business hat on the back end. And that's where I feel blessed too, because, we did meet so many people along this journey. And although I know I come across as brash, and I know there's a lot of people who probably think I'm a bitch, but I am telling it like it is because of what happened. And I'm not going to let that go. Distributors do not have the right. We got SAG union, we got the Writers Guild, we got unions protecting everybody else, but we're executive producers are the ones providing the jobs to people. We're providing these jobs, but we have no protection. That's bull. That needs to change. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
It's a very important 2 cents. We've already had a lot of comments on there. A lot of friends you've made already by the comments if you saw them.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Met Mr. Nanners, a.k.a. Morgan Wellborn, the director of the Helvira short, and hopefully a feature. He uses Film Hub for his short. And apparently you are putting out some really good advice. He says he needs to be friends with you and pick your brain on this, because
Oh, wonderful.
unfortunately, going through all that rigmarole. When's the last time you heard that? In the past, it has opened your eyes and made you, smarter
Yeah.
in that area. So what's Krista got on her plate coming up? As we mentioned, you were just at the premiere. What do you got coming up, executive producer wise? And then I also like you to talk about your YouTube channel and what all you talk about that.
Yeah, so I have a couple of movies coming out. I want to do more with Rick as well, because I'm working on a distribution deal for The Clock, and The Clock I know will meet all the requirements for a studio deal. So we knew that from the beginning. So we were able to work together in the beginning on that, which is cool. And it's that's what's amazing. Now everything's available for filmmakers, with the camera equipment. You don't have to have the big $150,000 red camera and all that kind of stuff. We got our Black Magics. I have one too. And it meets the requirements for distribution. And so anyways, and theatrical, looked amazing, sounded amazing, incredible. Yeah. So I got another movie coming out that we're going to be shooting locally here in Florida. It's called Ride or Die, and that's going to be a motorcycle themed action movie. So that'll be a blast to do. And then Avenging Angel, we're going to be Thomas Churchill is known for horror, and so this is where I'm going to be using my pole stunts in this for some incredible fight scenes, because that's my dream. I look at fight like dance, and I can kick some serious ass. And I take out all my aggression from everything I've been through, and I put it into that, some fan kicks and some raw. So that's what I do. So I got a few of those coming out, and then my pole channel is Pole Stuntin' with Krista, and that's where I get to be creative. And of course, I started learning about the YouTube algorithm and wanting to learn how that really works, because there's just as much back end work on all this as there is front end, maybe even more so. You know what I mean? So I started Pulse Down with Krista, and that's where I make little music videos to action scenes from movies. So I've done like Atomic Blonde, Kill Bill, and that's where you've seen my editing progress. Before it was like the screen, and now I've progressed it to use locations, and bring my pole and perform, and I get to play little roles that I want to play, like Harley Quinn and stuff like that, and I have fun doing it. But then I'm learning the editing process, the lighting, the filming and camera and all that, and I do it with just my best friend, Kako. She's a pole coach, pole sport coach, and and I get to make a lot of friends and enemies along the way. A lot of women are like, "You hussy," so they want to unfriend me if I make pole videos. But you know what? It gets a little boring just lifting weights, and when I found this, I'm like, oh my god, what I can do with this! Incredible. So I love it.
Well, that's what I love about that channel, is because she doesn't just do the pole dancing on it. I mean, that in itself is something else, because some of the acrobatics and things they do, you can just look at it, because I've been on set there watching her do this, and the amazing core strength it takes to do this is incredible. But what Krista does with this pole stunning is she actually puts themes in different movies. Like one of the ones she just did was for the movie Tombstone, and they put clips from the movie, and she's kind of theming the music and the whole dance around the movie and everything, and it's just so well choreographed, and it makes it more interesting to watch. Not that it's not interesting enough seeing beautiful women, do these incredible feats, but then when you put it like that, and you put the whole different movies behind it, the music behind it, it opens up a whole new door as far as I'm concerned.
It becomes a production.
It becomes a production.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, people hear pole dancing, they automatically think stripper. It's
exactly.
Easy, I think when people hear, indie horror, they think low budget, crappy actors, crappy everything.
Yeah.
When it's been my experience, it's not that way.
No.
Exactly.
You just have to open your eyes a little bit. So yes, get over there to YouTube at Pole Stunting with Krista and check it out.
And there is one
gonna
little
Yeah.
check it out.
tidbit.
Go
There is
ahead.
one little tidbit I'd like to add here, since we were talking about the whole Helvira thing and talking about the Krista with the clock and everything. Just to let you guys know, in the clock, we have Yvette Sushi Holder, who plays Helvira in your movie, and her and Krista got to meet in a hot tub in the clock. So I'll leave it at that.
Yes, we had fun. She's
Yes.
so sweet too. She's a nice,
adorable.
nice girl. Yeah, we had fun.
I really hope that this upcoming project, Hellfire's Haunted Asylum of Horror, gets properly funded and it becomes a go, because I would love to work with her on set. She seems like such a, a fun person. I've had her on a show like this.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, man. You meet new people in this, and it's so easy to meet people in the indie horror community. I
definitely.
think horror community. Everybody's just trying to get to the same place, and I've seen a lot of helping hands come out of nowhere, and that's really comforting for somebody trying to get into the industry. They need to know they're welcome, and it's not cutthroat.
Right.
Right.
I think that's a big thing. Krista, do you have any parting thoughts? Anything that any sites? I threw your YouTube up there. If anybody like Mr. Nanners, aka Morgan, would like to get in touch with you, can he do so? I think he wants to pick your brain about the distribution aspect of it. So where can people reach out to you, see what you're doing coming up and all future projects?
I have my websites, polestuntingwithkrista.com, Krista with a K, and KristaGrotteSaxon.com. So you can get a hold of me on there. And then, of course, follow me on Facebook, which is Krista Grotte. Yeah. And I like what you said about the indie film. That's why I came back. I'm here, man. Like, this is where I've been my whole life, indie film. I love it. And it's not cutthroat, and we all want the best for each other, and to see people succeed. That's what we want to do, man. We want to come up together and just be able to freaking eat while we're at it, right?
That's a nice little bonus,
and that is possible.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's the big thing. Is I've always been. I'd much rather help people, make things happen, as opposed to try and just limit things and take things on myself. I remember some old saying somebody said about what a boring night sky would be with only one star out there.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
All right. Well, Krista, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate everything you've said, and I can't wait to work with you further. And love you to death.
Me too. I love you. Thank you, guys.
You guys are welcome. Thank you. All right. That was great. Thank you, Krista, for her time. It got dark from the time that we started the show to the time we got back. I'm like, oh my.
Well, there's also a hurricane leaving, so we got hit pretty hard with that. So
yeah. No, is she? I know she's down in Florida there, right? She close to you? Was she in the path?
Well, she wasn't really in the path because it kind of switched a little bit towards the end, like most hurricanes do, and it went up a little more towards the north. But it was so big, we got a lot of the outer bands and stuff. My mom lives in Tampa, and her whole street and the area is flooded. Our friends are like down the street from her. They've got 3 feet of water in their house. So yeah, we have some people that got some serious damage. I escaped pretty good because I'm here in Pasco County, and I just got a lot of rain and some wind. But a lot of other people weren't so lucky. But that's Florida.
Yeah, tis the season.
It's the season.
Yeah, we have some. Let's see. Amy mentioned with the pole dancing, it is art. So
it is
right there, and of course, a round of applause from Miss Jamie Hill.
Hey, Jamie.
From Skinamarink.
Yes,
the mom in Skinamarink.
Absolutely
crazy movie. I pushed it on a buddy of mine earlier.
Creepy.
Yes, it is. Jamie is loving indie film. It seems like a pretty. This is where you want to go.
It says, yeah.
And regardless, yes, we are more of the horror side of it, but I think in any genre, I think independently is the way to go.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we didn't get to touch on with the Krista conversation, well, we did a little bit, but Krista, when I met her back in, I think it was 2021 on the set of Filthy, and then I got her involved in my Nightmare collection. Essentially, what the Nightmare collection is, it's a horror anthology, kind of like Creepshow, where what
Mhm.
we did was we created this character, Necro Nancy, that Krista played, and instead of just like having her sit on a couch like an Elvira and introduce movies, we decided to create this little storyline where she went around trying to kill the members of a rival band that ended her life, and she'd come back from the dead, kind of like the Crow. So,
Mhm.
and in between doing that and tracking these people down, she's introducing horror films. So the first volume came out right around 2021, something like that, that has some really great films, and it's out of print right now, but it's still being sold on various websites. So we just shot the wrapper right there for volume 2 that is right now in the works. And one of the cool things about this is that the movie Filthy that she talked about, where it all started at, her first movie, and the first time I met her, is one of the short films we're going to be including in the Nightmare Collection Volume 2. So I'm really excited. It's kind of like a full circle kind of thing, getting it out
Yeah.
there probably the next couple months.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. And of course, I'm assuming that we're going to find all this out through the Indie
Indie
Horror
Horror
Junkie.
Junkie.
I mean,
Your
where else?
one-stop source.
That's right, man. Your one-stop shop for indie horror. If you're a junkie for indie horror, we got your fix. That's for
Absolutely.
sure. And it doesn't stop here, of
No.
course. Next week, and I'm probably going to need help with pronouncing this one. Is it Nicolau?
Nicolau.
Nicolau. That was actually my gut instinct, and I should have went with it. Ted Nicolau. You may know him from such things as Terror Vision,
Mhm.
the Subspecies movie. He's a creative collaborator.
Collaborator, yes.
Yes, with Full Moon Pictures. He's going to be. I should have had a little pic of him up there, but I did not. I did not.
They can go to the website, indiehorrorjunkie.com,
Right.
click on the podcast link, and it's got a list of all the special guests when you can see them. But I met Ted several years ago on Facebook, as a matter of fact, and I've gotten to know him some. I got to know one of his main actresses, Denise Duff, who lives here in Florida, and she's one of the stars of the Subspecies series. So I got a chance to get to know her, and he just had the 5th chapter of Subspecies that just came out.
Mhm.
I think it just came out a couple months ago. So
Yeah, it
we'll be
was
able to
just a
talk
few
with him.
months ago.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll be able to talk with him about that, which is a really good, cool, atmospheric vampire series, which is really cool.
It is really good. I watched the last one maybe a couple weeks ago,
Oh,
and yeah, it was good. Very atmospheric.
yeah.
It was very good watch. I would definitely recommend that. Hallie, would that be a
Haley? Haley.
Haley? Okay, it's almost spelled like my daughter Haley. She's got to get the munchkin off the bed, but she enjoyed tonight's show, and we enjoyed having
Love you, Haley.
in the chat room. Thank you for joining us, Haley. Yeah, my daughter's name's Haley, but it's spelled a little bit different. So we have man, should we go through while we still have a minute or two? Should we let them know who's coming up after we have Ted on? Give them a week or so in advance, or are we going to keep that? I mean, it's not really a surprise.
Well, we can definitely mention Ted, but what I also want to mention too is that for anybody in Florida, there's another great, and we mentioned this, I believe, in the last episode, if not the first one. There's a great convention coming up called Phantasm Orlando, and it's
Yes.
coming up the weekend of September 15th, 16th, and 17th. We're actually going to have a table there, and the table is going to have our Florida HorrorCon people. It's going to have some Indie Junkie people. Amy's going to be there handing out merchandise and stuff available for postcards, cards for the Florida HorrorCon. They also made these incredible. I should have given you a picture so you could
Yeah.
show them. I didn't think about
Yeah.
it. but they made these beautiful buttons for Indie Horror Junkie, and she's going to have all the buttons there. So make sure you stop at the table, meet and greet the people behind the Florida Horror Con and Indie Horror Junkie. Grab yourself a button and help us spread the word.
That's right, because it only that's what most of these indie films that we talk about, a lot of it is just word of mouth.
Word of mouth, exactly.
Word of mouth, and using the social media as a platform. Phantasm Orlando, you said that was
Yep.
September 15th, 16th, and 17th?
Correct. The Friday the 15th and Saturday the 16th and Sunday the 17th. As a matter of fact, the Clock will be screening there on Saturday the 16th.
Awesome. So if you get there any day, make sure Saturday.
Saturday is definitely the primo day to get there. But either way, stop by our table,
right.
Grab a button, tell them you love us, and make sure you show that button to everybody.
Everyone, spread it like wildfire. Maybe I shouldn't say that with what's happening in Canada.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, spread it far and wide. And hey, as we wrap up, don't forget. Let me throw all of our little links up here. And again, if you're interested in advertising with the magazine, please shoot a email right down there. It's just passing by. Good timing. indiehorrorjunkie@gmail.com. And if you happen to send us a message on the podcast page, please be patient. Hey, we do the 9 to 5 too, and sometimes we can't get to you right away, but everything gets read. It just may take a minute for us to get back with you. So please be patient with that. Hey, what's your parting words for this evening? And I think I know what it is.
Well, one of the things I definitely want to mention is that's what we're trying to do here on the Indie Horror Junkie podcast, because we can't go over every single production or every single festival that's going on. That's what we try to utilize with the magazine, and we're going to open that stuff up coming up soon on the website. But on here, we want to try and bring you special guests that can talk about different aspects. Like the last couple have been actors and actresses and producers and stuff, to kind of give you the skinny on what's going on, how things work, and what's happening on the indie circuit. But it was really important for me to get Krista on, not just because she's one of my nearest and dearest friends, and I've been friends with her for so long, but she's such an amazing talent, but also because she was able to show us and discuss a completely different aspect that is really important for all these indie filmmakers, which is post-production, the distribution process, which is where you're going to make your money back, where you're going to make your mark and get your film seen. So it's really important that these people understand what's happening and some of the pitfalls and stuff that await them and await all of us, and she can help you through that. So please reach out to her. She's a wealth of information because she's been there, she's fought these fights, and she knows what to expect, and she wants to help prepare you and help guide you so you don't have to go through the same things that she did.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and I know that we have some filmmakers and all different facets of the indie horror scene, filmmaking scene, whether it be producers, actors, whatever, all different kinds tuning in. So, and she was a wealth of information tonight. Perked the ears of Morgan Wellborn. So. There you go. It's been another great show. Don't forget, as if we'll let you forget, every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Ted Nicolau next week. Rotting Ricky D. We'll see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.